What's up everybody, you're watching the From WordPress to Statamic YouTube channel. My name is Michael. Today I want to explore one of the add-ons that Statamic provides for free, which is the static site generator. In order to do that, I'm going to go into my dashboard, and I'm going to look at the add-ons here. I'm just going to look for static, and there it is. So there's the static site generator, which is free. And I'm going to install it using the instructions provided. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to come over into my terminal, paste that, and we're installing the package. So the first thing is it's asking me to publish the config file. I will say yes. Then I'll be able to read through that. Next is asking if I want to install the Spazi fork package, which looking over here, it's going to enable multiple workers, which should make the whole thing go really quickly when I want to actually generate my static site. So I'm going to say yes to that too. Okay, and there we are. Now I'm going to come over to my config, and let's go into Statamic. And now I have this SSG file. I'm going to put that one up here. Now I've got this SSG file, and it's got some basic configurations, where it's going to output it and everything like that. If I wanted to use symlinks, anything else that I wanted to do. I'm just going to leave this as it is for now. But I'm going to note it's looking for the app URL from my env file, which is set to my local herd version where I'm viewing the site right here, my test install test. This is going to come into play when I actually want to deploy this on something like Netlify, which we'll also go through. But now I've got my package installed. I've got the worker installed, so it should go quickly. And I'm going to use the generate command right here. Let's see what it does. You can see the path down here at the bottom. Got my storage app static. So I collapse all this stuff. And I look for storage app static. There it is. Okay, I'm just going to clear this. Now I'm going to see what we've got here. Now, seeing this, if I wanted to deploy from GitHub using this directory as the source, that's not going to work just now because it's not showing up because I think everything is get ignored. So if I look for my get ignore file, okay, so it's looking at my storage and it's ignoring everything like that. But if I go into my app directory in here, it's got its own get ignore. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of unignore the static directory in there. I'm going to add that to my git commit. So I'll check the stats again. Okay, now I've got this whole static directory visible in my changes. So I can commit this as well, and we can push all this up to GitHub. So I'm going to do that. Git add, we'll commit it, add static build, and I'll push that up to GitHub. Okay, so now I've got my static build as part of my repo. Maybe you don't want to do this. There may be other ways to do this where you copy it to a different directory. All that would be handled in that config file that we just looked at really briefly. For now, we're just going to keep it simple and do it this way. Now I'm going to come over to Netlify. I've already got my account open. And I'm going to bring in that repo from GitHub. And it's already authorized. And I know I've got my demo repo there somewhere. Okay, here we go. Starter demo. Let's use that one. Let's call it Statamic SSG. It's not available. Demo. Okay, let's use that. So it's also generating this URL here. This is where it's going to deploy to. And we deploy for the master branch. And the publish directory, I'm going to have to change that. So if I go back to my add-ons here, there should be some information about that, I think. Deployment. Okay, so for Netlify, so I've done the generate, and the publish directory is here. It's storage app static. So I'm going to copy that. Oops. Copy the whole thing. And we'll do publish directory is storage app static. I'm going to copy that again because I think it's going to tell me some more stuff. So I also need to add some of these environment variables here. So I've got my app key, my app URL. So this is the one I just copied. So I'm going to use that over here. And we'll add some of these environment variables. So let's do that. So we've got app key. And I'm going to grab that straight from my environment file over here, because it was using this when it generated it. I don't need that leading equals. And the other one was app URL. And I know I've copied this a couple times already. Grab that. Put that in there. Okay, so let's see what happens. I'm just going to click deploy. Okay, it's deploying. Okay, so we are published. And let's open that production deploy. Okay, we have no styles or anything, so I'm just going to open this here and see what we got. So, okay, so I was looking for my test install. This is my local directory here, and it's using my app URL is configured for my env. So, you know what, I'm going to change that to the one I had copied from Netlify. So hopefully it'll actually use the right URLs this way. I'm just going to do a build, vm run build, and then we'll run that generate again. Okay, so it's done now. Now let's get status. So now we've changed everything. New build with app URL. Let's push that. And now because it's all connected via Netlify, let's see what happens. We go to the project overview. Okay, it's doing a new build already. There we go, published. Let's take a look at that. Let's open the production deployment. And there we go. I've got my static site already working for me. I suppose that's all there is to it for the most basic version. Obviously, there's all that stuff in the config if you wanted to run scripts when it's being generated, if you wanted to symlink things into a different repo so it's not inside of this directory. There's all sorts of things that you can do. And if we go over here, here's the actual page for the add-on, and you can basically read through all the same instructions that showed up in the dashboard there. So there's lots of things you can do. You can define how you want to generate the images. For example, with Glide, none of those images are actually generated until you hit the URLs. So you can configure how you want those images to be generated. Do you want it all happen when you generate your static site? That kind of stuff. And again, what happens after it's done? Are you deploying this somewhere else or copying the files? All that kind of stuff. You can do it all. Now you might ask yourself, why do I even want to do this? I mean, Forge deployment and hosting with DigitalOcean isn't really all that expensive, but maybe you actually don't have access to that stuff. Maybe you just want to host it locally and have the nice experience of using the Statamic CMS on your machine. And then you can host with Netlify basically for free. So there's lots of reasons that you might want to consider this. Static sites are always good for really fast performance. Obviously it comes with other limitations, like I can't process forms because I'm not actually running Laravel now on my static site. So all that server-side stuff isn't really accessible to me anymore. But maybe you don't care and you don't need that. That's it for today. As always, thanks for watching. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe and sign up for my email newsletter. The link is in the description. Catch you next time.